We have all been there. You are in the middle of a grocery store or trying to leave the house, and suddenly your child is on the floor, screaming over the wrong color cup. It is incredibly frustrating. It feels like they are making a defiant behavioral choice to test your patience. There is a specific biological distinction between a calculated tantrum to get a toy and a true sensory meltdown. A meltdown is an involuntary, triggered response from a severely overloaded nervous system. Psychologist Daniel Goleman identified the mechanism behind this, the amygdala hijack. It occurs when the brain's threat detection center treats a minor emotional stimulus, like that wrong-colored cup, as a physical danger. When sensory information enters the brain, it routes through the thalamus and splits. The first signal reaches the amygdala milliseconds before the second signal even reaches the rational thinking part of the neocortex. During an active hijack, the child cannot access your logic. Their brain has forcefully locked them into a state of pure survival. Neuropsychiatrist Dr. Dan Siegel developed a structural model to visualize this disconnect. He divides the mind into the upstairs and downstairs brain. The downstairs region, the brainstem and limbic system, is an ancient, fully formed emotional center responsible for basic survival, fight, flight, or freeze. Above that sits the upstairs brain, the prefrontal cortex. This sophisticated reasoning center in a child is still decades away from full maturity. When overwhelming emotion strikes, the downstairs alarm sounds so loudly that it physically severs communication with the upstairs brain. Siegel calls this flipping your lid. This makes demanding a hijacked child to calm down or use their words biologically futile. You are speaking to an upstairs logic processor that has been forcibly unplugged. With the child's logic offline, the parent's reaction becomes the deciding factor. This is difficult because of mirror neurons, specialized brain cells that make emotions highly contagious between two people. When you witness a meltdown, mirror neurons force your brain to absorb that stress, pushing you toward an amygdala hijack. Reacting with raised voices confirms the child's subconscious suspicion of a life-threatening emergency. Your stress reflects back, expanding their internal alarm. Chronic exposure to these explosive adult reactions can have lasting consequences. It impairs a child's developing emotional regulation pathways, potentially contributing to higher scores on the Adverse Childhood Experiences scale. Fighting chaos with more chaos traps you both in a biological feedback loop. A parent cannot punish a child out of an active stress response. To break the loop, child psychiatrist Dr. Bruce Perry outlines a biological sequence to rescue a hijacked brain, the 3 R's: regulate, relate, and reason. It starts with regulate. You must deliberately force your own nervous system out of fight or flight mode. Taking a slow, deep breath resets your baseline. Regulating yourself first uses your mirror neurons to project a signal of biological safety back to the child's panicked amygdala. Once you are centered, move to relate. This means connecting with the child's active right brain through physical positioning, getting below their eye level and using a quiet, soothing tone. Relating validates the sheer intensity of the child's emotion without endorsing the behavior that followed it. Connection must always precede correction. You have to disarm the brain's security system before you can access the child's logic center. To bring the rational brain back online, Dr. Siegel offers a neurobiological tactic called name it to tame it. You do this by guessing and vocalizing the emotion driving the meltdown. You might say, "I can see you are terrified," or "You are incredibly frustrated right now." Hearing the emotion named forces the language-driven left brain to engage. This triggers soothing neurotransmitters that flow down into the reactive right amygdala. This chemical release slows the child's heart rate, halts the fight or flight response, and pulls the lid back into place. Labeling a wordless sensation integrates the two halves of the brain, shifting the child from a survival state into an emotional experience they can process. This brings us to the final step, reason. Only after the brain is chemically settled and the lid is firmly back on, can you safely review the event, set your boundaries, and problem solve together.
Teaching coping strategies during this phase acts as a vital neurological workout, directly strengthening the child's underdeveloped prefrontal cortex. The long-term stakes are immense. Every cycle of successful co-regulation thickens the brain's neural pathways, building lifelong emotional resilience and executive function. We often interpret tantrums as a child attacking our peace, but biologically, the child is suffering through an internal collapse. They are leaning on your mature nervous system to stabilize their own, physically shaping the brain's architecture with every calm interaction.